It's like we haven't been doing this for a year.
Yeah. You're right. You think we're brand new at this, right?
Exactly. What's up, everybody? Come on into the Rooted in Progress Stream Center 1 year later.
Yes.
Happy 1 year anniversary, Terrence.
Yes, happy anniversary. You know, imagine where we were this time last year. We didn't know what we were doing. We all know that you could talk a lot, but, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And so a whole year later is one of the best things that ever happened to me in my career. So.
Oh, Terrence.
Yeah.
Same here. Same here. Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Yes.
It's your favorite host of Rooted in Progress. You only got two, so you have no options.
And it's your favorite co-host, Terrence, here. So,
and it is Juneteenth.
Yes.
We are not only honoring the holiday and celebrating the holiday, but we are also honoring and celebrating 1 year of this digital show, of this podcast.
Yes.
I cannot believe it has been 1 year.
Right.
What has been your favorite moment, Terrence?
Oh, man. That's a tough question. There's been so many, and I don't think we have enough time to kind of go through them. I think really just the main one, I guess I can say, is really the launch of this.
Oh.
Seeing that our ideas come to life, and this beautiful stream center that WFLA has here in their building, and just from the colors and the logo and everything. And if you know the history of our show, our podcast, it all stemmed from our Black History special that is still out there on YouTube from 2024.
Yeah.
That we were able to transition and just kind of keep the flow going, you know? So I guess that's my biggest highlight. What about yours?
I think for me, every episode, I always say this, I'm like, oh, this is about to be a good one. Every episode is amazing, and I love every guest that we have had. So shout out for every guest that takes the time out to come out and not only support our show, but also share their stories and give back essentially to our community in more ways than one. But I think for me, what people don't see is what's my favorite part. And we meet every week on Mondays. We've now transitioned into having like social gatherings. And what I love to see is my team, our team, Black people in this newsroom who get together every week. We don't get paid extra for this. Nope. We don't get extra time for this. Who takes the time out, regardless of what they have going on. Terrence has a whole nother show that he has to do when he finishes this show, when he finishes our meetings. Our producers on this podcast are taking time out of their day, producing newscasts for WFLA, catering time toward this project. And that's what I love to see. That's what I love to be able to boast about, is that our team makes this possible.
Oh, look at you giving the plug.
I know.
There you go. Giving the flowers. Excuse me. Giving the flowers. Yes.
Speaking of guests, we have an incredible guest who is here in studio, Mr. Daryl Hych, who I've had the pleasure. How long have I known you now? Has it been over a year?
It's been well
like
over
2-3 years at this point.
It has. Yes, it has.
Listen, he's a local entrepreneur. He's also a member of the Racial Reconciliation Committee. Tell the folks a little bit about you. And one, thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
No, thank you. You know, I remember the first time I met Deanne, and she sent me a text telling me specifically how to pronounce her name, because it was in a text message.
That is correct.
I had stated it wrong, and I was like, man, I've never been checked on how to say someone's name before, and that was solid, man. I was like, wow, she is serious. Do not say her name the wrong way, is how she put it.
Look at me. Look at my lips. Look at my lips. The question is, what name were you calling her?
What?
Was it Deanna?
I think remember.
It was in the text. It came across as Deanna.
Okay,
and that's when she corrected me. I was like, okay, it was auto text. It wasn't me, man. It wasn't me. I know how to spell.
Well, and I'll tell you this, because
that is how we met. Oh my goodness.
In the intro, for those people who are just now tuning in, like Deanne and I do not work directly together. We work in two different departments. But in the department that I work in, I actually work with a Deanna.
He does.
Every day. And so therefore,
our first couple of episodes, he calls me Deanna.
You hear Deanna. So, and she made it such a big deal. And I don't mean to cut you off, Brother Daryl, but she made it such a big deal as if I called her Sabrina. At least I was in the ballpark of Deanna. So I feel you, my guy.
She was like, if you need spell it out for you or speak it out, let me know. I was like, never make that mistake again.
Listen, and for a long time,
I like to try to pronounce and enunciate people's names correctly. So I just, I'm kind of big on it, and I'd rather us have the conversation instead of somebody like constantly mispronouncing someone's name.
Correct.
Because that's just awkward.
Correct.
Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, if I'm constantly having a conversation with you and I'm mispronouncing your name, and it's just like, where do I go from here? So, happy Juneteenth to you.
Yes.
But no, thank you. Again, I've been a part of, I've been in the city of Tampa since 2017 when I retired from the military. I did 28 years in the Navy.
Wow.
And
Thank you for
retired
your
and
service.
wanted to make Tampa my home. And I stumbled into this space of advocacy and various things by just simply paying attention to what was going on in the community and in the city. And this Racial Reconciliation Committee has been, it's been a passion of mine by just simply reading and understanding what the city of Tampa stated they would do back in 2020. And so when I read that document, December 4th, 2023, I knew I had to get actively involved with it. So, and now here we are. Now we're in committee. We're speaking about it, and although things aren't going the way we would like them to fully go, but the conversation is now. We're now at the table now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to dive into the Racial Reconciliation Committee, the progress that, or lack thereof, depending on what our feedback is that we've made over the last year. But first and foremost, y'all, we got to honor Juneteenth.
Yes.
It's a celebration. It's a lot of folks who are apparently on our live stream right now that I still love you, no matter what hate you spewing in the comments, the ignorance you're spewing in the comments. I will call you out. I won't repeat what you're saying, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Rooted in Progress.
Every Thursday.
You're doing something right.
Yes, every Thursday, 9:30. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it.
Juneteenth, this is a day, June 19th, 1865. This is, for folks who aren't aware, many of you in the comments right now, for folks who aren't aware, this is the day that folks in Galveston, Texas, and by folks, I mean slaves, they were unaware that the Emancipation Proclamation had already been passed 2 years ago, more than 2 years prior, in 1863. And so they had learned that they were free. Could you imagine knowing that your cousin, 1865, but 1863 was the Emancipation Proclamation is what I was referring to. Could you imagine your cousin having me in free 2 years ago over in Florida, and you in Texas, and you ain't know?
You know, what a lot of people miss is that in January 12th, 1865, is when 20 black ministers and individuals went to talk to General Tecumseh Sherman and told him to go talk to the president and give us our 40 acres and a mule. That happened in January of 1865. So we oversight that piece happening, and then we come into June. So 6 months prior to was the biggest move that ever happened in our history.
Oh, wow.
And it's overshadowed because a lot of people don't even realize that happened with 20 black men going to tell the president, Lincoln, that we want our 40 acres and a mule, and it was pushed forward.
Wow. I mean, and to be honest with even some of the comments that I'm seeing here, yes, it takes all of us to come together in order to make progress, right? And that's just the reality of it. It's been that way since the beginning of time. In order to get here, it takes all of us to set things aside and be able to realize that no matter what we look like, everyone deserves to be free. Right. Everyone deserves equality. So this is just a day where we're able to honor Juneteenth, honor what a lot of our ancestors fought for, because I couldn't imagine. So there are tons of celebrations happening across the area. Do y'all know 803 Fresh is about to be in St. Pete? The man boots on the ground.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where the fans at?
I think we failed trying to get him in here.
And that's okay.
Well, you know what? We would have turned this studio out.
He would have. And we would have been doing boots on the ground. They're going down. It's at, I forgot the name of the place where they're having it, but it's in St. Pete from 3 to 7. So y'all can look that up. Several other events happening. We have the 5th annual Rock the Block Festival. Have y'all ever been to that?
No, sadly, I've heard about it over the past 5 years that I've been here, but I've yet to attend.
Okay. It's a good time.
Yeah.
They put on, Rock the Block puts on a really good festival. So that'll be at Ray J on Saturday. There are things happening in Lakeland. There are things happening in Sarasota. Sarasota is actually putting on a really cool arts festival. They're going to have a free jazz concert. And there's going to be 75 plus vendors. That's down in Sarasota on Sunday for folks who are looking to do different things. And I think people often ask me well, how do you celebrate Juneteenth?
What do you do to celebrate?
What do you do?
Yeah.
And I think there's so many things that you could do. One, you can educate yourself.
Right.
Let's start there. But you can also invest, like support a Black-owned business today.
That's you took
stop
the
and
words
get
right
some lunch at a Black-owned business.
Right. Because if we don't stop by our own individual businesses and purchase and participate in our own economic survival, then guess what? We're running behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
So at least go and stop by and do that. Go participate in the buying process.
Go to an event.
Right.
Several of them.
Exactly. What I was going to also say is, Tampa Museum of Arts, they have a great event taking place also in Dunedin. So if you're not just in the Tampa, Dunedin, excuse me.
The Lord.
So therefore, if you're not in the Tampa St. Pete area, there are festivities that are taking place all throughout the area of Florida. So just look up your local information and you'll get it. Please attend.
TPD having something today as well. So if you're looking for something in Tampa, that's going to be at Perry Harvey Park. I think it starts at 3. Don't quote me, but again, Juneteenth, a great way to celebrate. Don't just wear the T-shirt.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Don't just wear the T-shirt.
But Deanne, you
actually
said
support.
You said something, and not to cut you off, that I think is very important. If you don't do anything but go and educate yourself on how we got to this point.
Yep.
Because once you have a full understanding of it, you will value this day all the more. And that's just not Black people.
Yeah.
White people, other ethnicities, go and educate yourself on why this day is important so that you can fully understand why we celebrate it accordingly. Yeah.
And I think because to be honest, that's where the disconnect is a lot of the times, is that folks don't care to know or care to find out. And so if we educate ourselves, I'm still learning. I hosted a whole event last week, y'all. And by the end of the event, his name is Matthew Hale. Do you know him? Matthew Hale, he was just honored, the USF Black Alumni Society, they honored him in their Beacon of Change Awards, so shout out to them. He was like, come here, Sister King. And he taught me something. So we're still learning. Yeah. We don't have it all. We don't know it all. None of us.
Well,
here.
And it became we all know it became a federal holiday in 2021. So, I think for that point, a lot more people really started asking questions as to what is Juneteenth.
Yeah.
For those that are rooted in the community who knew what Juneteenth was throughout all these years, when it became a federal holiday in 2021, I think that's when everybody started, catching wind. People are off. There's a lot of people that are off. So thank you for those who are off today and tuned into our podcast that normally don't or not able to.
We're not off.
So
we're not off.
Thank you for tuning in for that. So we're not off, and we were off, we wouldn't be here. So,
we're not off.
Yeah, but there is a lot of businesses who still honor Juneteenth.
That is great.
Holiday. Yes.
All right, I wanna transition because of course we have Daryl here, not only to talk about Juneteenth, but about this racial reconciliation committee. So I actually want to go backwards, and explain how we, Rooted in Progress, actually got here. Yes. So, Terrence, if you remember when we were orchestrating the thought of last year's Black History Month special, and it was called Rooted in Progress. And so the goal, our team, we wanted to take some really tough topics. And for those of you who did not watch the original Rooted in Progress Black History Month special last year, we had more so all officials. So we had mayors, we had city council members, we had state representatives, we had county commissioners, and we wanted to ask them the tough questions. We wanted to put hard topics, affordable housing, equality, all of these things, teaching Black history in schools. We wanted to take all of these difficult topics, right, and ask them what they're doing about it to move us forward. How are we going to educate the next generation about these tough topics? And what ends up happening is we start talking about the Racial Reconciliation Committee. Because oddly enough, I had a phone conversation with one of our city officials, and they were like, Deanne, do you know about this? And I didn't know. I did not know that this happened in 2020. This passed me. And I didn't know that the city of Tampa had decided to recognize this racial reconciliation. They created this whole document, said they were going to do all these things. And here we are in 2024 and nothing had ever happened. So what we did was we brought that up with City Councilman Louis Vieira. And then we had the fabulous Hillsborough NAACP President Yvette Lewis there, who y'all know don't take her foot off the gas in front of nobody, okay? Yeah. And so in that moment, when I asked him about it, he promised. He promised that he was going to reignite that conversation on city council that week. And what we saw a few months later was actually the formulation of the Racial Reconciliation Committee. And so once our show aired, people were like, we want more. We want to keep up to date. And so then boom, Rooted in Progress, the podcast was born. And here we are a year later, and we started that episode with Yvette Lewis and City Councilman Louis Vieira. Look who done showed up today. I won't tell y'all how she got here.
Hey.
Miss Yvette, we are happy that you are here. Can you tell?
MLK.
Can you tell?
We are so happy to not only have Daryl Hych here, but we are bringing back the president of the Hillsborough NAACP chapter, Miss Yvette Lewis, who was here a year ago today. How you doing, friend?
I am wonderful. How are you? Thank you for the invite. That means you like me.
Oh, wait. I love you. I don't know about Terrence, but
I love you, Miss Yvette. Miss Yvette, you're now considered a Rooted in Progress OG.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're an OG.
1 year later.
Daryl, you're going to get there.
1 year later.
All right, hey, I'm honored to be here for the anniversary of it, you know, and having seen the first episode, I'm honored. I can remain the young G.
Yeah.
Never be the OG.
So to get into this conversation, I think it's great to have a person who has been there since its inception, especially on our platforms. But then we also have someone who has been there literally day by day on the committee, doing the work. And of course, everything being reported back because there's representation from the NAACP on the committee as well. I'm just going to start out with probably the hardest question. Have we made any progress in 1 year when it comes to the Racial Reconciliation Committee?
That will be a no.
Daryl?
You know, you can only say no in one language. No.
Why? What's wrong? What's going on?
Well, first and foremost, we don't have everything that we need to be successful. You know, if you ask me to come and you know, cook you a meal, but I don't have everything it takes to cook the meal, then you're gonna miss the dinner.
Right.
And essentially that's what's taking place. We don't have all the tools in the toolbox to make the right decisions to move forward. And I to a certain degree, I believe that I know they knew that when we went into the room. No surprise.
They as in leaders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The city leadership, they knew. I mean, and they even stated it. If you look at resolution number 568, that they stated that they did covert and overt things to make sure that black people were disenfranchised and hurt, harmed, and injured. And they're just reacting it again in 2025.
Yvette, how you feel? Why are we here? Why do you feel like we haven't seen any progress?
We're here because basically, to put it in plain English, the city didn't take it serious from the beginning, and they definitely didn't take it serious now. So I feel like the city staff, along with the mayor, felt like this is a joke, and they did not want to take this serious as well as some city council people as well. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, we did reach out to City Councilman Louis Vieira, who was here with us a year ago. He was also here on the panel when we did the Black History Month special, who brought it up, and he was not able to attend today. However, he is open to come back and discuss it. But do you mind speaking to, do you feel as though Councilman Vieira has played a pivotal role in helping ensure things were going right with this?
I do believe that he did, and putting the motion on the floor to get it started. Yeah. I do believe he has been following it and educating himself and coming to the meetings, some of the meetings, but it's beyond him. It's at the point where the city staff, and when I say the city staff, the chief of staff, John Bennett, and the mayor has not taken this serious. And, you know, so kudos go out to Councilman Louis Vieira for taking the initiative and taking the challenge, because, we have to be honest, there was a challenge that was put out there to him, and he accepted it, and he did it. But I am just sad that the mayor and her staff, John Bennett, has not taken this serious. And so we're still here. And when they met, because they meet over at the Hannah Center. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The same center, correct me if I'm wrong, where they just raised the Juneteenth flag. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh. So, the one thing I've been hearing is time is winding down. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is the expiration date, and why do you feel, or why is there even an expiration date in place?
Well, that's a very good question. We talked about that this past meeting on this past Tuesday, and time is winding down, i.e. we were only given 6 months to bring this to pass. We were given till June, and then ultimately in July there was going to be the community would come out and give their opinions and their community input. With that being said, the way I've looked at it from the beginning is it's all about the money. It's been budgeted to give the facilitator a $50,000 salary to do this, which adds up to about $6,000 a session that we're hosting these events. And so now we have to wrap it up in so many words, because we're running, that's what it's budgeted for. Right. They set aside that funding for this period of time, and so now it's being exhausted. The time is running out. However, we did go up and we did ask for some additional time, but right now we don't know the answer on that, because City Council isn't meeting today. They don't meet again until next week. We have to wait for their response from next week if they're going to give us additional time to carry this thing on. And you're right. There shouldn't be we should not be constrained to a short period of time. Mm-hmm. Right. The same, I stated the other day, the same car, or the same way you drove the car in the garage, you should back it back out of the garage the same way.
Yeah, you followed that up by talking about how you've actually seen other cities and other states who have tried to do this same thing, and it took them years to even get things accomplished. Now, here's the deal. I do feel like there's that fine line, because we good for it, right? Like, we'll complain and then we'll get something, and then because it's taking too long, we mad. Right. But there's that fine line of, okay, if you're not going to give us the resources, right, in a short amount of time, we can't get this done. So, like, it's going to take some time because y'all playing.
So, I would say that is great, what you said. But we all know with this city government, the projects that they want to succeed and get through, they get through within 30 days. Mm-hmm. They get through city council. They say, oh, we're up against the deadline and it has to be voted on today. So they push those projects through. So when it comes to African-American people here in the city of Tampa, why does our projects have to be slow walked or no walked or sat on the back burner and just say, just wait? From my understanding, this is Juneteenth, right? It took those people, 10 years to figure it out, to hear it, to understand it. And then the slave masters told them, you keep working, we'll just pay you now. Wow. So we go back to this day and age here. They still slow walking it. Y'all just keep meeting, and we'll just keep hearing. But that's all you're getting.
As a community, what would you like to see more out of? Because there's only 13 members of this board, and if you're going to come together and make change, it needs to be an army of people, army of voices, right? What do you need out of the community?
So there is an army. So and let me tell you this, with the African American people, when it comes to us asking for things, they say, oh, everybody has to come together. But from my understanding, why are we the only race that is pushed to that? To that standard? Wow, that's a great point. When you go down to city council, from my understanding, there's maybe about 3 or 4 people that can change the whole makeup of South Tampa. But y'all want us to come down there in groves. When I say y'all, the city council and the city of Tampa. But then when we show down there in groves, they still vote for what they choose to vote because they always keep telling us, we know what's best for you. Mm-hmm. You know, that whole thing. Yeah. I know what's best for you to eat. See, that's what they told the slaves back then.
I think it's important to recognize in this conversation as well that we got to this point behind resolution number 568. Mm-hmm. Now, let's make sure that's clear. And then what ended up happening was Louis Vieira put forth resolution number 344.
He changed it.
He changed it. Mm-hmm. He changed the narrative. And resolution number 344 is the resolution that encompasses the entire city of Tampa. When I showed up in this process, I showed up because 568 said black people. Mm-hmm. 344 is all inclusive. So to your point about there being 13 people on this committee, I've asked the question, if we're representing the whole city, then where is the Asians, the Jewish, the white man, the white woman, where are they at on this committee? Which again shows me that they weren't serious about this. Because if you think about it in history, where have there ever been 13 black people to sit in a room and go out and tell municipalities, legislature, communities, and they changed and they done something?
So what you would like to see is this committee be diverse, correct?
Well, if we're doing it off of resolution number 344, it should be diverse. If I was a white guy sitting back watching this, I'd be saying they don't represent me. I'd be saying that.
I think let's do this. Let's back up. Let's back way back, okay? Mm-hmm. How about you give us a definition of the Race Reconciliation Committee and what it is? I mean, and for those that out here are listening, because according to the people that are out here listening and watching our podcast right now, man, it's pretty negative what's going on right now. So let's just back up and let's talk about what race is. And when we say race, we're not just saying race as in the black community. Like you said, it affects Hispanics, it affects the Caucasians, it affects Asians. So how about we just back up real quick and just give the people a brief nugget of what the Race Reconciliation Committee is. How about that? Can we do that?
Well, I'll even agree with you with that. I don't fully agree with the term Racial Reconciliation Committee, simply because race is everyone.
Exactly.
We're all part of the race. And so with that being said, that takes it back to resolution number 568. 568 specifically said black people. That's like someone promising to give the King family something. And they said, we want to correct the wrongs that we done against the King family. And we're going to offer these 5 things to correct these wrongs in the King family. And then all of a sudden, they say, you know what? We're going to do the same thing for the Hych family, for the Lewis family. And then that waters down and it takes away what was happening specifically for the King family. So then that's when we came into this Racial Reconciliation Committee, which then now includes everyone. Let's take it back to the foundation. Yeah. And if we stay with the foundation, then I think we'd get a little bit more movement, but we will find some resistance. But we can't walk away from the foundation on how this thing was started. Right. And I think 344. They knew what they were doing. They made no reference to 568 in 344, which means in the future 344 will walk its own lifeline. It will do all that it do in history and in the future, and no one will ever pick up 568 again and understand what it meant and how we got there.
Well, I mean, when you think about the difference between 568 and 44. What are your thoughts on that, Yvette?
I think, again, the city of Tampa has written African-American people, black people, an insufficient check. That's what I think. They have written us an insufficient check, and when that check hit the bank, it bounced. I feel as though this city knows what it's doing. This city knows the games that they're playing, the words that they're using, and then they use each other to pit against each other. But African-American people that are born and raised here, that understand the dynamics, we know what's going on. They want us to feel as though we don't have a voice. because we're yelling the loudest. But we do have a voice. We know what we're saying. We know what we want. And so we want economic growth in our community. We want the same opportunities. We never asked for big development to come in our communities and not give us anything. So we're asking for housing that they use our dollars for to give to big development. We're asking, give that back to the community. Mm-hmm. We're asking for them to respect the dead when it comes to the African-American cemeteries. We're asking for them the same enforcement for law enforcement in East Tampa, the same enforcement they get in South Tampa and New Tampa. We're asking for the same. And it's a shameful, God, in 2025, where we are still asking for the same thing. Again, this is Juneteenth.
Yeah.
African-Americans in the West were 10 years behind. How many years are we still left behind in the city of Tampa, Tampa Bay? Okay? We are behind. Y'all want to bring baseball here, but baseball, really? The Bucks are here, but really?
Yeah.
How long do we have to keep saying this?
Yeah, to catch up. You mentioned the chief of staff, John Bennett, and what I thought was interesting was checking in with different committee members on the committee. Y'all were saying y'all don't have any support. Mm-mm. Like how are we coming up with a report and we won't have no data and no statistics on what to make up a report, right? So then John Bennett shows up. Correct me if I'm wrong. His first meeting was not this one this week, but last month. Correct?
Last month, correct.
Okay. We got a book now. He brought the book, right? He brought this.
Raise it up.
How pretty.
We got a book.
Wow, a book.
In the month. So when you're entering and sitting in these meetings, take me through like when he showed up a month ago, was there relief or like, did you think y'all got anywhere? And then did anything change in the month when he returned to the meeting this week?
When he came last month, I specifically told him, I said, sir, I would have been more excited for you to show up and give us subject matter expert from your area of expertise from law enforcement, considering you had a length of time in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. You showing up here today to placate us on why the city has not provided us the subject matter experts is irrelevant to me, because we sent our request up long before you showed up here, and now you're here sharing with us why we didn't get what we were asking for. When in reality, you would have served us best by coming in here telling us about law enforcement stats, how law enforcement has been effective in the Black community, because that's your area of expertise. You served in that capacity. And so with that, he walked away with hearing our words, our concerns, and this month they showed up with the beautiful book that I just showed. Here it is again. They showed up with the racial reconciliation booklet. Mm-hmm. Within this book, it's a very thick book, as you can see.
It's very thick.
They did provide different areas of information from the different departments throughout the city, administrators, but we can't validate it because we don't know whether or not it's true. Some of the things that I have read in here are things that I know that have been talked about, but I know they haven't come to fruition, but they've been talked about. And you can ask someone to generate a report, put it in the book, and it never be validated, and you could pass it off to us as it is. So that's what I think we've gotten here.
Okay, so then what do we need?
I tell you what, let's just throw it out there.
Okay.
So many, many years ago, and I think Dick Greco was the mayor at that time, the city of Tampa had a program where they were giving away lots to African Americans that lived in East Tampa. So let's put it out there on the table. The city of Tampa, we're asking that you give at least 200 empty lots to residents that live in East Tampa or have roots in East Tampa.
Wow. Okay.
So you wanna know what we asking for? That's one of the things that we put on the table. I don't know if that's in the book, Daryl, because it's a mighty big book and I haven't read it yet. But I'm just putting the ask out there. And then let's go to this piece here. The overlay.
Okay.
See, we love to see the sun in our faces over there in East Tampa. So we're asking that no buildings over 2 stories be put in the overlay of East Tampa. And then when you say, there's another piece, when you say affordable housing, let it be conducive to the wages and the earnings to the residents in East Tampa. See, that's what we're asking.
Yeah.
Let's put it out there. So now we just asked all of that. But see, when they go before city council, because they haven't they weren't given the foundation, the expertise. Let me tell you what the city gonna say. Well, that's not feasible. That's not feasible. We're just not able to do that.
So do you feel like, so why are we here then? Do y'all, is this for show? Do y'all think that, do you feel like you're wasting your time? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, because it's kind of like if you're not getting what you need, right? If y'all feel like the city's at the end of the day not going to do anything, that at the end, for the people who don't know, the Racial Reconciliation Committee is tasked with then creating a report that's supposed to be presented to Mayor Castor and her staff, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So if you all are putting together this report and you don't think anything is going to happen from this report, why are we here?
So that's a good point, because when you're passionate about something, you quit it. You break up with it a lot, So I quit several times. It wasn't going to go to the next meeting because of that same statement you just said.
Yeah.
But here's what I've come to realize. This thing is bigger than Mayor Castor's administration. If it takes the next 2 administrators to get it right, if it takes to whereas my grandson turns 10 and we then get it right, we're just getting started as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
This is not as we said earlier, this isn't something you just shove down our throat and we got to hurry up and get it done. No, once this needs to be a continuous conversation. There are very serious issues. We never even discussed, as we're in those meetings, we haven't even put a dollar amount on this thing. Because at the end of the day, it takes money to do this. Madam President just said a second ago, when things are happening in the white community, they get the funding and everything that fast. Look how fast they did Ybor City and tore the street up to put down another street because they felt like they needed to do the thing. So we haven't even talked about money. Yeah. So when we get to talking about the money that's attached to it, it may not be Mayor Castor's administration. It may be the next person or the next person. Because we still have to, we're still working through the process.
Why are we still working through the process?
Because that's how they, that's a very rhetorical question, but that's just how they make it. It took us a year for them to even formulate recognize it.
Yeah.
That's just us. That's how they do us.
Let's talk about representation. Let's talk about, as we know, the passing of our dear friend, Gwen Henderson. There's a hole that's sitting at the city council. And you want to talk about representation. What will it look like if someone from the community will run for that seat? And not only just that, we got the mayoral elections coming up in 2027. Will there be representation there? And I feel like it's going to have to take, even though we got a foot in the door, it's going to have to take someone actually having a seat at the table.
So let me tell you where the NAACP concern is. There is no representation for District 5. Right now, the city of Tampa is working on their budget. And because they have scheduled this election in September, and in September, that budget will already be done. So we don't have any representation asking or putting or taking out anything dealing with District 5.
Wow.
So I'm not sure where to take this, Lord, but this is something serious that we don't have no representation So it's going to take the other 6 city council people to step up and do their part.
I was like, oh.
I had to hold that.
I was like, ooh. We could say some words, but not all.
And those same city council people that are sitting up there now have courted us, have talked to us, have lunch with us, had coffee with us, but they continue to vote against us. But I promise you, on these 5 letters, elections have consequences, because I have had enough.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, we don't have it.
Yeah,
I didn't think or realize that with the timing of the election.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot to unpack, and I think ultimately at the end of the day, when we're talking about timelines, right, and how do we actually start to see the fruits of our labor, right, or the labor of this committee, the labor of the NAACP. I feel like I sound like a broken record, but just like, how do we push past this? How do we shake them and wake them up to actually see effective change?
It takes stuff like this, putting it out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and no, we're not calling anybody out, but we're just stating the facts and the truth.
Yeah.
So if you want people to come to this city, a diverse city, the city of Tampa Bay, then make people feel like and welcome. Because right now, if I was a homeowner and we get a lot of calls, I wouldn't come here.
Wow.
Because racism is alive and well in the city of Tampa. We are told to be quiet, wait your turn. We're still waiting on basic sidewalks. And let me tell you this, if there's crime in my neighborhood, there's crime in South Tampa too. Mayor Castor, John Bennett, Chief Burklaw. If there's crime in my neighborhood, there's crime in New Tampa too.
Yeah. That's true.
So don't make it think like we're the only place in the city of Tampa have crime.
That's in that. Daryl, what about you? You're still on the committee, thank God.
Yeah.
You came back. But when you all gather behind the scenes, and especially coming off of, technically this meeting was supposed to be like y'all's last workshop, right? Before preparing the report.
Right.
And now you're waiting to hear from city council if they're even going to allow financially, essentially, for you all to continue to meet before or prior to making that report. What do you think needs to happen within the next few months in order to actually start seeing some things done?
I think first and foremost, they need to, we need to get the right person on city council. That has to happen because, again, that speaks to the voice. And then secondly, I think that there are some of the steps that we have come up with to a certain degree that we can begin implementing. We can begin looking at those infill lots and giving those to the citizens of to the Black community. There are some things that we can start doing baby steps. We don't have to climb the long run of the ladder. Just give us some steps so we can begin getting to the top. And there are some things that they can control and do. They show it and prove it every week at city council. When you look at that agenda and see the monies that they're giving to different...
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. It's
definitely possible. And I think what you said was right. It starts with who fills that District 5 City Council seat. And we all know her. We all loved her. City Councilwoman Gwen Henderson. She was actually, I want to say, maybe our third
No,
episode?
She was a little later than that.
She was a little later?
Yeah, she was probably one of our first 10 guests. So, I think it was last August when she was on here. So
okay. We wanna pay our respects to Councilwoman Henderson on this episode. We did have an episode, but pre-recorded it from her passing. So here's a little snippet from when Councilwoman Henderson was on our show. She is a longtime educator, a Tampa native, city councilwoman, an entrepreneur, owner of Black English Bookstore.
Yes.
Let's welcome in Councilwoman Gwen Henderson. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my goodness, you like Shay with the running down the byline.
That was a good intro, wasn't it? Of that video. Terrence, you want to launch it again, or?
Yeah, stand by.
Okay.
Try that again. Sorry, guys.
She is a longtime educator, a Tampa native, city councilwoman, an entrepreneur, owner of Black English Bookstore. Let's welcome in Councilwoman Gwen Henderson. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my goodness, you like Shay Shay with the running down the byline.
That was a good intro, wasn't it? I remember going back and forth with her about the Racial Reconciliation Committee. And you've had to do that too at City Council as well. But I think it is so important. The legacy, she gave so much to the city. And whether it was up on City Council, whether it was in her bookstore, whether it was out in the community, I just feel like there's a hole. There's a hole missing up there on council. What, if any, memories do you all have with Councilwoman Henderson?
So, first of all, it's really hard for me to even understand that she's not here.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just stare at her picture and just say, "Is this true? Is it true?" So, but I remember we were on a panel for a Black History event over at the museum.
And that's the pictures that we just saw.
Oh,
we had a picture.
And so we're standing there, and she just leaned over to me, and when they took the picture, she just leaned all the way into me. She was like, "Oh, Yvette, let's go." She goes, "Show them that we love each other, okay?" And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Okay, let's go." And then the last event that we were at was Miss Teenage Tampa. And so we were there, and she was doing a Facebook Live, and I was sitting next to her. And of course, I had to have fun back with her. So I just photobombed the whole thing. And she was like, "Just get in this picture." I was like, "Thank you." So I mean, and it was things like that that we would have long conversations with, and just she would say, "Every time I talk to you, you make me late for my next appointment." Oh, yeah, I know. So, and I was like, "Is it me or is it you?" So so I mean, so we just had some deep conversations about everything in general. So, it's just I didn't go to our homegoing services because I take them too personal, and it was too much for me. But it's just really still hard.
Yvette, there's that picture right there.
Yes.
It's such a bright light.
Yes, it's just still too hard for me to understand that this woman is not here with us.
Yeah, it's been tough for me as well. Even attending. People who know me know I don't do funerals.
Yeah, I don't do that.
And so Miss Gwen, as I would call her, she went beyond work, and it was one of those things where even just getting that phone call, I got a phone call literally coming off the show to find out about her passing. So I've been in communication with her daughter. She is strong. But when we look at the business of things, right, and what happens next, what do you all think we need? We've lost a loud, powerful woman who didn't take no for an answer. What do you all think we need to see in the late Councilwoman Henderson's chair?
Well, I personally, I never met her on a personal level. I dealt with her mostly on a professional level, and I understand that the different environments foster your aptitude toward each other. So we never met on a personal level. As far as the Racial Reconciliation Committee, we bumped heads with how it should go. That's public record. That's on. You can see that everywhere. So I think that what we need is to find an advocate for this process on City Council. We must find an advocate.
Yvette, what about you?
We need a fighter. We need somebody that's going to be 10 toes down and there for the community. And so part of District 5 has highs and lows. The highs are okay. They're taking care of themselves. But the lows are still low. And then that's the question we have to ask. Why are they still low? Just like those slaves out in Texas. Why they didn't find out that they was free until 10 years later.
That's deep. That's a good word too. So
well, we're going to keep our foot on the gas. We're going to make sure we keep having these conversations. We're going to make sure we keep putting out this information. If we're not doing enough, y'all know how to find me. Y'all know how to get in touch with me. I really want to continue having these conversations and letting people know what's really happening, right? Because it's cute to see it on the news, the little updates that we do, which is great for every journalist who continues to keep the updates going. But we need to take layers back and be able to go beyond a minute and 30 seconds on the television and really see what's happening behind the scenes and 100%. What we really need as a people. So we appreciate y'all joining us on this Juneteenth.
We salute you for this show and congratulations on your 1 year. That's what I'm talking about.
That means so much. Well, happy Juneteenth, everybody. Again, make sure you all keep up to date. Make sure you follow Rooted in Progress on all social platforms. And then we have all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, the WFLA streaming app as well. And then, of course, we're live every Thursday at 9:30 in the morning on the WFLA Facebook page and the app. Happy Juneteenth. Go support a Black business.
Stay rooted, folks.